Zara lay still on the cold metal floor. Her arms were tied behind her back. Her legs were weak. Her head hurt from the fall. The air smelled of oil and rust. The light above flickered, casting long shadows on the gray walls. She was in a human prison cell. She was alone. The last thing she remembered was the battlefield. Her unit had been retreating, her commander shouting, "Fall back!" Then came an explosion. She had tried to run, but something hit her from behind. She fell, and everything went black. Now she was here, a prisoner of the humans. Zara was from the Varnak species, strong, proud warriors with scales on their arms and glowing eyes. Since childhood, she was told that humans were cruel, monsters. They burned cities. They showed no mercy. If they caught you, they killed you. No trial, no questions. Zara believed that. She had heard stories, humans shooting unarmed prisoners, using aliens as test subjects, even feeding them to their machines. So now, lying in a corner with pain in her chest and dried blood on her cheek, she waited to die. Footsteps echoed outside the cell. Zara's heart raced. Was this it? Were they coming to end her? She pressed her back against the wall, breathing fast. She had no weapon, no strength, no chance. The door opened with a heavy clunk. Light poured in. Zara narrowed her eyes, blinking. A tall figure stepped inside, a human male. He wore black armor with a faded emblem on his chest. A soldier. A killer. His helmet was off, showing a tired face, short dark hair, and rough stubble. His eyes looked at her, but not with hate, just curiosity. Zara held her breath. He stepped closer, but not with a weapon. In his arms was a blanket. She frowned. The man knelt beside her, placing the blanket near her. Then he pulled something from his pack. Food, warm, real food, not military rations, some kind of bread and soup. Zara stared at it like it was a trick. Her eyes narrowed. The man spoke, soft and slow. "You're safe here. No one will hurt you." She didn't understand all the words, but she caught the meaning. Safe? She didn't move. The man pushed the food gently toward her and stood up. He didn't force her, didn't touch her. He walked to the door and knocked, twice. The door opened and he left. Zara sat in silence. She looked at the food, then at the door. She waited a long time, sure someone would rush in with a weapon, but no one came. She sniffed the soup. It smelled real. Her stomach growled. Maybe it was poisoned. Maybe it was just food. She waited longer, but hunger won. With shaking hands, she sipped the soup. It was warm, gentle. It reminded her of home. She tried to stay cold, angry. But a part of her felt confused. Why hadn't he hit her? Why didn't he call her names? Why? Was he kind? The next day, the man came again. This time, she was sitting up. Her arms were free now, but her body still ached. He brought medicine, water, and he smiled, a small, careful smile. Zara didn't smile back. He pointed to himself. "Eli." She didn't reply. He pointed again. "Eli," he said. Then he pointed to her. She looked away. After a moment she muttered, "Zara." He nodded. Zara. That name had sounded strange from his mouth. Soft, gentle. He nodded again, then placed a book near her, a picture book, simple English. For children. Zara looked at it like it was a weapon. "Learn," he said quietly. "Help you understand." Then, he left again. Zara opened the book later when no one was watching. She turned the pages slowly. She knew some human words already, but not many. This book was simple: dog, tree, friend, enemy. She paused on that word, friend. What did it mean between a human and a Varnak? Nothing. That's what she was taught. But Eli, wasn't acting like an enemy. That night she curled in the blanket he gave her. The pain in her body was fading, but the questions in her heart were just beginning. Was this a trick, or was it something else? Zara dreamed she was falling, through stars, through fire, through silence. But when she opened her eyes, she wasn't falling. She was wrapped in a blanket, warm and alive, and that scared her more than the war. No pain, no chains, no guards yelling. Only the quiet hum of the human bass and the soft light of morning. She sat up quickly, her muscles sore but healing. Her eyes darted to the door. It was closed, locked, but there were no cameras, no electric bars, no threats painted on the wall. This wasn't what she had expected. She had expected pain. She had expected fear. She had expected a human to come and break her. But instead, he brought her bread and soup. He brought her books. He brought her warmth. And worst of all, he brought her kindness. She hated it, and she didn't understand it. The door opened again with that same low clunk. Zara's hands balled into fists out of habit, but she didn't stand. It was him again, Eli, the human soldier with soft eyes and tired hands. But today, he didn't bring food or medicine. He brought a chair. He set it down and sat in front of her, calm and quiet. For a few long seconds, they just stared at each other. Then he spoke, slow and clear. "You're not my enemy anymore." Zara narrowed her eyes. "Why not?" "You're not fighting me," he said. "You're hurt. You're young. You're scared." Zara flinched at that last word. Scared? No. Never. She was a Varnak scout, trained for battle. She had walked through burning cities. She had crawled across razor fields. She wasn't scared. But her heart knew the truth. She was scared. Eli leaned forward and placed something between them. A small device. A translator. He pressed a button and it lit up. "Use it," he said. "If you want." Zara stared at the device. This was no trick. It was real, a rare thing. A gift not even given to allies, let alone prisoners. "Why do you treat me like a person?" she asked, using the device to help her speak the words clearly. Eli didn't answer right away. He looked at her like he was remembering something from long ago. "I had a sister," he said at last. "She died in the first wave of the war. A bomb took her. She wasn't a soldier, just a girl who liked music." Zara looked down. "I hated your kind after that," Eli continued. "I wanted revenge. I wanted to burn every Varnak world." "Then why didn't you?" she asked. "I did," he said quietly, "until I saw what war really does. I've seen both sides now, Zara, and I don't want more hate." Zara's eyes stayed fixed on the floor. His words were soft, but they carried more weight than any weapon. In her culture, mercy was weakness. In his eyes, mercy looked like strength. Zara didn't reply. Not yet. But she didn't push the translator away either. Later that day, a different sound echoed in the hallway, yelling Eli's voice. Zara moved to the door and pressed her ear against it. "You can't just keep her here like a pet." Another man's voice shouted, "She's not a pet," Eli said. "She's a guest, a child. Look at her, she's barely older than a cadet. She's the enemy. She's alone." There was silence, then boots walking away. Zara stepped back. She wasn't supposed to hear that. But now she knew. Eli was breaking rules for her, risking his position, his safety, maybe even his life. Why? Why would a human do this for a Varnak girl? She remembered how her own commanders treated prisoners, cold, brutal, without care. If Eli had been captured, they would have tortured him, laughed at his pain. But he gave her soup, and books, and peace. Her heart didn't know what to do with. That night Eli returned, he didn't say much. Just gave her a new book, some clean clothes, and a soft smile. As he turned to leave, Zara's voice stopped him. "Thank you," she said. It was the first time she said it out loud. Eli paused, surprised. Then he nodded. "You're welcome, Zara." She sat in silence for a long time after he left. The war outside still burned. But inside this small cell, something else was starting to grow. Something strange. Something dangerous. Trust. Zara didn't sleep that night, not because she was cold, not because she was in pain, but because her thoughts wouldn't stop fighting each other. She had faced many enemies before, wild beasts, enemy drones, even burning storms on dead planets. But this was the first war inside her own mind. One voice told her, "He is a human. Your enemy. Don't trust him." The other voice whispered, "He gave you food. He gave you comfort. He called you by your name." She lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling, the translator device resting near her. Her claws tapped slowly on the blanket, her heart beating faster than it should. She hated how clean the room was. She hated the warmth of the soup in her belly. She hated the soft way Eli looked at her, because it made her feel something strange. It made her feel like she didn't belong to either side anymore. The next morning, Zara didn't pretend to be asleep when the door opened. Eli stepped in holding a tray, no helmet, no armor, just a simple shirt, rolled up sleeves, and a quiet expression. "You didn't eat yesterday's fruit," he said. Zara looked away. It was strange. Too sweet. Eli chuckled. "It's called peach. Human grown. Try again. You might like it." He set the tray down and sat in the chair. No guard, no weapon, no fear. "Why do you keep coming here?" Zara asked, watching him closely. "Because you're still here," he replied. She didn't know how to respond to that. So instead, she asked, "Do all humans treat prisoners like this?" Eli shook his head. "No, not all." She waited. He continued. "Some follow orders, some enjoy cruelty, but me? I stopped following orders when I realized they were written by scared old men who never see the battlefield." Zara's head tilted slightly. That didn't make sense. "You disobey?" "I disobey bad orders," he said. "I follow what's right." She blinked. "How do you know what's right?" Eli looked at her gently. "Because I remember what it feels like to be helpless." Later that day, Zara sat in silence holding the picture book he gave her before. She flipped the pages again. Slowly, she paused on one page. Friend. An image of two children, one human, one alien, holding hands, under a tree. Her finger touched the drawing. Could that be real? She remembered her training. Humans are dangerous. Humans lie. Humans destroy. But now, a human had saved her life. She had always believed trust was weakness, but this weakness had healed her wounds, had warmed her nights, had given her back her name. That night, Eli came back with something different. Music. He brought a small speaker and played soft notes, strange, gentle sounds Zara had never heard before. "What is this?" she asked. "Old Earth song. My sister loved it," he said. Zara closed her eyes and listened. It was not war. It was not fear. It was something else. Peace? Hope? She opened her eyes and whispered, "I don't understand your people." Eli smiled. "That makes two of us." They both laughed softly. For a moment, they weren't soldier and prisoner, just two beings trying to survive in a broken galaxy. When Eli left, Zara touched the speaker with careful fingers. The music was gone, but its echo stayed in her heart. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about escape. She wasn't thinking about stabbing him in the back. She was thinking, what if not all humans are monsters? And that question scared her more than any weapon ever had. Because if it was true, then everything she believed might be a lie. Zara found the map by accident. It wasn't hidden under the bed or locked away. In a drawer, it was left on a table, open, half-marked, as if someone had just been using it. And for the first time, The door to her room had been left unlocked. It wasn't freedom. It was a test. She stepped out slowly, her bare feet making no sound on the cold floor. The hallway was quiet, empty. No alarms, no guards, just silence. And curiosity pulling her forward. She followed the faint hum of voices, around the corner, through another hallway. Then, she stopped. Voices. One of them was Eli's. The other was louder, harsher, angry. Zara crouched near the door, keeping herself hidden. She listened. You were supposed to transfer her 3 days ago, Eli. She's not dangerous. She's a Varnak. You're protecting the enemy. She's a girl. She's hurt. She's scared. That doesn't make her a threat. Zara's heart stopped. They were talking about her. Do you think Command will care about your feelings? You're risking everything. Your rank, your clearance, your future. Then let them take it. You disobey one more order and you're done. Silence. Then Eli's calm voice again. I already decided. I won't hand her over to a place that tortures prisoners. Zara backed away slowly. Her breath shook. Eli was lying to his own people. For her. Why? Back in her room, she sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from something she didn't recognize. Was this guilt? No, one had ever broken rules for her before, not even her own kind. Her commanders had left her behind without a second thought. But Eli, he was risking punishment, maybe even prison, all for a girl who used to dream of stabbing humans in the heart. She looked down at her hands, warrior hands, clawed, calloused, taught to destroy. But now they held nothing, just confusion, and the memory of Eli's voice saying, she's not a threat. The next time he entered the room, Zara didn't speak. She just watched him. He placed her food down like always. But as he turned to leave, she said quietly, Why are you doing this? Eli paused. He didn't pretend not to understand, he just sighed. I told myself I was saving one life, he said. But maybe I was trying to save my own. Zara blinked. Eli smiled weakly. The more I look at you, Zara, the more I realize that you're not the one who's lost, I am. He turned and left. Zara stared at the door long after he was gone. She had once dreamed of escaping this base. Now, she was terrified of being taken away. The spoon in Zara's hand stopped halfway to her mouth. There was a small square of folded paper under her food tray. She hadn't seen him put it there. No one else ever entered her room. Only Eli. Her claws gently pulled it free. She unfolded the note with slow fingers, heart pounding louder than the silence around her. Inside were only 3 words. You must leave. That night he came in like always. Same calm face. Same soft eyes. But this time he closed the door behind him and locked it from the inside. No smile. Only a quiet seriousness in his voice. They're transferring you tomorrow, Eli said. The main war camp. Zara's face turned pale. Her people called that place the Screaming Hall. No one came back from there. Eli placed a small bag on the floor. Inside was food, water, a folded map, and a tiny flashlight. Zara looked at the bag, then at him. You're helping me escape? He nodded. There's a weak spot in the wall. Storage Sector 7. The guards won't be there at night. I've arranged a power glitch at 03 war hours. You'll have 5 minutes. Zara couldn't speak. Why? Why would a human soldier do this? Why are you helping me? She finally asked, voice barely a whisper. Eli didn't answer right away. Then he said something that hit her like a lightning bolt. Because if it were me in your place, I'd want someone to help too. Zara turned away, hiding the storm in her chest. No one had ever helped her without a price. Not her superiors, not her squad, not even her family. But Eli wanted nothing in return, just to see her live. And it scared her, because deep down, a voice was screaming, what if you never see him again? Hours later, she stood near the wall in the dark storage sector, her heart beating in her throat. She wore a stolen cloak bag across her back. Trio, the lights flickered, just like he said. The power whined and the wall panel unlocked with a soft click. Zara slipped out. No alarms, no shouts, just shadows and wind. She ran into the forest beyond the base, every breath heavy with guilt, fear, and something else she didn't want to name. She stopped only once. At the top of the hill, she looked back. The human outpost was behind her, small and distant now. Eli was still inside, still in danger. Because of her. She whispered into the wind, "Thank you, Eli," and vanished into the trees. The sky was on fire. Smoke curled up from the trees. Explosions shook the ground. Screams and gunfire echoed through the valley. The human outpost was under attack, and in the middle of the chaos. Eli was still inside. He ran through the base, shouting orders, dragging wounded soldiers to safety. His face was dirty, his armor cracked. But he didn't stop. Not when the alarm screamed, not when the comms went dead, not even when he saw the enemy banners flying in the smoke, the same Varnak colors he'd seen in Zara's eyes. "We're surrounded," someone shouted. "They're breaking the gates." Eli grabbed his rifle. His hand shook, but not from fear. He wasn't afraid of dying. He was afraid he'd never know if she made it. Zara. And then, everything went silent. A massive roar shattered the sky as something large crashed through the outer wall. A Varnak war beast, 12 feet tall, armored in bone and metal, charged through the flames. Behind it, Varnak soldiers stormed in, blasters. Glowing, voices wild. Eli raised his weapon, but froze. Standing at the front of the charge was a figure in tribal armor, a female. Her skin shimmered under the firelight. Glowing eyes, a scar down her cheek, and in her hand. A weapon she wasn't using. She wasn't here to kill, she was here to protect. Zara. The human soldiers panicked. "She's Varnak, she's leading them." Eli stepped forward, shouting, "Hold your fire, hold your fire." Zara raised one hand, then barked orders in her own language. To everyone's shock, the Varnak stopped. The war beast growled but didn't move. Zara walked forward slowly, past the broken gate, past the rubble, until she stood just a few feet from Eli. His voice cracked. "You came back?" She nodded. "They weren't my people," she said. "Not the ones who came for me. But I made them listen." Eli stared at her. "You brought them here?" "To fight the real enemy," she said. "The ones who want endless war." Together they turned toward the battlefield, human and alien, not enemies, but allies. The other soldiers, on both sides, watched in confusion. Some still pointed weapons, others slowly lowered them. Eli looked at Zara and whispered, "You could have run. You were free." Zara looked back, her eyes soft. "I did run, but not away from you. I ran toward something better." That day, the battle stopped not with fire, but with a choice, one made by a human who refused to hate, and an alien girl who refused to forget kindness. It didn't start with a treaty. It didn't begin with diplomats or generals. It began with a single touch. Zara reached out her hand, clawed, scarred, trembling, and Eli took it. Human and Varnak, warrior and prisoner, two enemies, who chose not to be enemies anymore. And in that moment something changed, not just between them, but in the hearts of everyone watching. The battlefield had gone quiet. No shots, no screams, just wind and smoke. And the heavy silence of people realizing they had a choice. Zara turned toward her people, her voice steady. "We fight because they told us to. But what if they lied?" The Varnak soldiers looked at one another, uncertain. Then Eli stepped forward and said to his own men, "She could have let us die. But she didn't." "What does that tell you?" The silence cracked. A human soldier dropped his weapon. Then another. A Varnak warrior removed her helmet, and slowly, one by one, weapons were lowered. That night, a fire burned in the center of the ruined base. Not a fire of war, but of warmth. Varnak and human soldiers sat together, eating from the same pots, drinking the same water, listening to the same stories. Zara sat beside Eli. No armor, no walls. Just two people who had survived something bigger than a war. "You could have killed me the first day," she said, looking at him. Eli smiled softly. "You expected me to?" "I did." "What would you have done if I had?" "I would have closed my eyes," she said, "and thought of home." He was quiet for a moment. "Now?" he asked. "Now. I close my eyes and think of you." In the days that followed, others heard their story, other outposts, other tribes. It spread like fire, but not the burning kind, the kind that melts ice. One base reached out to the next. Talks began. Small, careful, but real. Not peace between galaxies, but peace between people, and that was enough. For now. Zara stood at the edge of the forest one morning, ready to leave. She wore no chains. She owed nothing, but Eli was there too, his pack over his shoulder. "You're leaving too?" she asked. He nodded. "War's over for me." "Where will you go?" He looked at her, smiled. "Wherever you are." Zara didn't cry. Varnak don't cry. But if they did, she would have. They walked into the trees together, two former enemies, two survivors, and maybe, just maybe, something more. The war didn't end with a gunshot. It ended with mercy, and mercy was human, and Varnak, and something new, in between.